Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio, so today I'm going to be showing you the deck with which Zoroark won the European International Championships, the biggest tournament we've ever had in Europe. And I know this video's been a little bit late coming, but what am I supposed to do? Have you seen how many new cards have been revealed in the last couple of weeks? It's been a little bit silly. And Tord did it with Golisopod and Zoroark. And I want to start in this video with Zoroark, because the thing is, Zoroark, this was the first big tournament where Zoroark was legal. Nobody knew exactly whether it was going to be good. Tord proved that it was. Loads of people, and go back and look through the comment section of my videos about Zoroark. I'll pop a link to one in the description. A lot of people said, well, we don't have Skyfield, so Zoroark's really good in Japan, but it's not going to be good over here. Check the comments, I promise you, people said it. Thing is, Tord proved them wrong. Zoroark is an amazing card. And the thing about it is, it's got two good things about it. Firstly, you've got the ability trade, discard a card from your hand and draw two. This is a phenomenally good ability. It means that when you get 2, 3, maybe even 4 Zoroark in play, you're just drawing everything you need. If you're not ability locked by something like a Garboda, you will draw what you need. We saw there were a couple of turns that Tord couldn't get his double colorless, but they were few and far between. And then for a double colorless energy, you do 120 if you've got a full bench, 150 with a choice band. And that doesn't sound that much, but Tord's deck is not built for big one-hit KOs. You'll see this with Golisopod in a second. It is built for, I'm going to do a bit of damage, I've got Ace Roller, I'm more consistent than you, I'm going to roll. And that's exactly what he did. Speaking of Golisopod, the main attack here is First Impression. If you were on the bench and became active this turn, you do 120. Again, we're working on 2-hit KOs while being more consistent. You've got Ace Roller here. Both Zoroark and Golisopod have 210 HP. I know you've got to bring Golisopod active every turn to do the 120 for 1 energy. That's where Ace Roller comes in. It's brilliant. Also several Guzma to do the same thing. Now Armor Press is a fine attack. You add a double colorless, 100, take 20 less the following turn. And Crossing Cut GX is good because with a choice band you do 180. That's enough to get a one-hit KO on something like a Tapu Lele. But it's not the main reason. The main thing you're here for is First Impression. And these really were the main attackers in the deck. Now we had one Zoroark from Breakthrough. The stand-in ability is pretty good, especially if you combine it with a Float Stone. But Tord didn't play any Float Stone, but there was stuff like Ace Roller instead. This wasn't really used for stand-in. This was used for the attack. 10 damage plus 30 more for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Mind Jack! It's good. If your opponent's got a full bench, you're hitting 160, 190 with a choice band. You can get some really cheeky KOs on stuff like Volcanion, and I know that this happened throughout the weekend. We also see here a Tapu Koko. It's got free retreat. It's great in the early game. You can use your Wimpod, and we use this Wimpod for the ability, to retreat into a Tapu Koko to guarantee that on turn 2 you can come active and use First Impression. And really here, you want to use a Bridge at turn 1, get a Tapu Koko in the active ready for First Impression. Or attacking with Zoroark, Riotous Beating. Either way, you want a Koko in the active at the end of turn 1. Mr. Mime is here just for a little bit of bench protection. Something like Buzzwole was hyped a lot throughout the weekend. You needed the bench protection. And Mewtwo's here to take down Psychic weak Pokemon. It's a decent tech. Now in terms of trainer cards here, we got 4N. Every deck plays 4N. N is amazing. But you notice he only actually played a couple of Professor Sycamore. Why so few? Well, that's very simple. You don't want to be discarding stuff. You got a whole bunch of stage 1 Pokemon here. You don't want to discard the stage 1s. You're using double colorless. You want to keep the double colorless. You're playing Puzzle of Time. If you discard a Puzzle of Time, that makes it harder to get a double Puzzle of Time rolling. No, ladies and gentlemen, this is a deck where you want to keep your resources. You're going to be discarding stuff when you use trade. That's fine. The key is you choose what to discard when you use trade. You don't want to just be randomly Sycamoring. You do still play a couple of Sycamore, but it's very controlled as to how many you play and when you actually use them. 4 copies of Guzma here. I love the combination of Zoroark and Guzma. Zoroark's trade ability means you are drawing cards and up to 8 cards a turn if you've got 4 GXs in play without using your supporter. And if you're able to draw cards without using your supporter, that leaves you open to using supporters for niche uses like Guzma. Not drawing cards, but actually meaning that you can do other things like play a Guzma. I love 4 Guzma in this. Plus, of course, you need to switch to a new Golisopod. Otherwise, you're using First Impression for 30. Guzma's a switch. 3 copies of Ace Roller here. Ace Roller is great. The reason Ace Roller is great is because there's not that many things that are going to one-hit KO a Golisopod or a Zoroark. They got 210 HP. They'll stick around for a little while. Okay, Silvally with a fighting memory will KO a Zoroark. So just pop a Golisopod up and then Silvally won't get the one-hit KO. And that really is the key here. You've got 2 bulky Pokemon that should be able to take a hit. And even if one of them can't, the other one should be able to. Ace Roller then heals it up. But again, Golisopod getting in the active is made much easier using Ace Roller. One of the really interesting things that Tor did with his list was he played 3 copies of Bridget. Why did he play 3 copies of Bridget? Because turn 1 Bridget is awesome. I spoke to Tor at the weekend a couple of times, sometimes on camera, sometimes off camera, and what Tor basically said was, I play 3 Bridget, because when I start with Bridget, I win, and if I don't start with Bridget, I might not win. I need to start with Bridget, so I'm playing 3 Bridget. Combine that with 3 Lele and 4 Ultra Ball, you're probably going to have a turn 1 Bridget. Which means you're going to have multiple turn 2 Zoroark GXs, probably. Which means you're going to be absolutely fine. And 1 copy of Mallow. Mallow's amazing here. Mallow lets you put any 2 cards from your deck on top of your deck. Then you use trade to draw 2 cards. See where we're going with this? Mallow and Zoroark just turns into search your deck for 2 cards. It's brilliant. There's not much more I can say about that. You can't play that many copies of Mallow because you're not always going to want it in the early game, which is why you play a small number, but you play it because it's great. 4 Puzzle of Time. Puzzle of Time here is great. Puzzle of Time allows you to reuse stuff. You can get another Mallow. You can get extra Ace Roller, extra Guzma, etc. And because you're drawing with Zoroark, and you'll notice I keep coming back to Zoroark, Zoroark is amazing. It's ridiculously good. Like I said, go check out my video where I said Zoroark is going to basically break the format. People argued with me. You can see it in the comments. Oh, not anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Zoroark's amazing. Puzzle of Time is only really good if you play 2 at the same time. Oh, I've got 1 Puzzle of Time. Well, I don't want a Sycamore because then I lose a Puzzle of Time. I don't want to N because if I N, then I have to try and draw into 2 at the same time off the same N. But if I use a trade, then I can maybe manually draw into the second one when I've already got 1 in hand. The synergy in this list is beautiful. 4 Ultra Ball because you need to search for Pokemon. That's good. And 4 Field Blower. This is another really unusual thing about Tord's list. 4 Field Blower. Who plays 4 Field Blower? The answer's Tord. Why does he play 4 Field Blower? Because trade's amazing. I've been talking all video. For the past 8-9 minutes, I've just been saying trade's amazing, trade's amazing, trade's amazing. Worst thing about trade, it's an ability. It gets turned off by Garbodor. But you can play a Float Stone to get rid of Garbodor. You cannot afford to have several turns without trade. I'll show you the full list in a minute so you can look at the whole thing in one. This list is not built to have a supporter every turn. This list is built to get Zoroarks out and use Zoroark as the draw engine. That's why we play 3 Bridget. That's why we play a 4-4 Zoroark line. It's why we play 4 Field Blower here. 2 Choice Band. Again, you don't need that many Choice Band. This isn't a big, giant one-hit KO deck. Choice Band is great for doing extra damage. It's great with Crossing Cut GX as your once-per-game GX attack. Generally, it's a 2-hit KO deck, so we can afford to play a slightly lighter run of Choice Band. And 2 enhanced hammer. Look, going into the weekend, everyone's going crazy about Gardevoir. Rightly so. Gardevoir was like 25% of the field. It was ridiculous how many Gardevoir there were. You know what makes Gardevoir a lot less scary? Using enhanced hammer to get rid of their double colorless energy. And don't forget you've got Puzzle of Time to reuse them. And finally, the energy. Small energy count, 4 double colorless. Double colorless is amazing. You need it for Zoroark and for the bigger attacks on Golisopod and for Mewtwo, I suppose, and for Tapu Lele. You can only play 4. I'm pretty sure if he could have played more, he would have. I was casting one of his games at the weekend and he just whiffed it over and over again. And free grass energy for first impression. Again, you'd probably like to play more than free grass energy, but space is at a premium. And in theory here, most games, it doesn't really matter whether you use Zoroark or Golisopod. If you're against Volcanion, clearly you're going Zoroark. If you're against Silvally, and they've got a fighting memory, you're going Golisopod. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. So as long as you get a double colorless for Zoroark or a grass energy for Golisopod, you're fine. Yeah, there's not much energy being played here, but it's the best we can do. Here's the full list. I got it off limitlesstcg.com. That website's awesome, and the people that run it are lovely. It's a great, great list. I know a bunch of people have been testing it already. I would highly recommend you do. I'm not going to call it perfect. Generally, the good players, they take a deck like this to an event, and they win with it, and then you see them at the next event, and they've changed half a dozen cards. But it's a great list. I encourage you to try it. And I encourage you to start a discussion with me in the comments. Go nuts. Be nice. Tell me what you think about this list. Tell me what changes you'd make. Tell me if you're surprised how good it was. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.